Absolutely. And I think that's actually a great topic right there, which is balancing trying to create content, break into the industry, but
Mhm.
as a woman being safe.
Yeah, because I
Because
nobody would go with me. Like now I have a boyfriend, so if I like need someone to go with me, I can. But at the time I didn't
shout
have
out to him.
anybody.
Yeah.
So if I had to go sorry, if I had to go somewhere, I would just have to hope for the best because I didn't have an iPhone at the time, so I couldn't share location. I just would have to
Hmm.
tell somebody, "Hey, I'm gonna be going here," and at the time I was taking the train to get everywhere too. So that was like
Oh wow.
took
Yeah.
forever.
but but it shows like kind of like the dedication that you had to your craft and your willingness to just like I'm gonna do what it takes to create some content so I can continue to build some momentum around what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to pursue.
But it's
Um,
also mindset too, because you have to
mhm,
decide that you're gonna figure it out. Because I didn't want to have like excuses. I just like made a way every single time. Like even if I didn't have the money, I was like, okay, let's scrape together some change to get on the train or something like that. So
mhm,
if you really want to do something, you will make it happen, even if you don't have anybody around you. Because I didn't have anybody supporting me really. I just
mhm.
had to like make it happen.
And now you're look at you now you're doing different sets all the time. You're doing commercial print. Um, when it comes to actually like breaking in to the industry, like it's one thing to create a bunch of content. It's another thing to know what you're doing professionally when it comes to getting an agent, knowing, where to be, knowing where to network, knowing how to act on set. So if someone is creating a lot of content right now, they have something to show, they're serious about being a model, they're serious about their craft, and they want to start breaking through, what would be some suggestions that you have
Well,
in
honestly,
doing
building
that?
relationships with people that are already in the industry, like makeup artists, are great because I've
Mhm,
had quite a few refer me for different jobs just because they enjoyed working with me. Building relationships with photographers. If there's somebody you really want to work with and you feel like that person, I'm not saying like look at them for what they can do, but you can either try to collaborate with that person or if not hire them for their services because they're going to respect that too. And you can build a
mhm,
relationship with being, sometimes you just have to get around the right people, like not to be like, oh, I need to get by this person, but you have to be working with people that are already actively working, because if you click, then that could be good. Not saying for that reason, but that's also been a great thing. Like a lot of my jobs have been word of mouth. Some of them come through social media, some have come through agencies, but a lot of the stuff's been word of mouth, especially since prior to that.
So it's basically learning how to be more selective on the environments that you're putting yourself in and the people you're collaborating once you've been
Mm-hmm.
doing it for a while. That way, not that you're trying to necessarily, get something from this exact person, but if you're continuously putting yourself around professional and serious people, then there's an opportunity for this to not just be something great for right now, but to lead to something that is productive in the future for you.
Yeah, you have to be productive because a lot of the shoots that I started out with, those
Mhm,
wouldn't help me now, like at all. Like, but it did help
mhm,
build confidence as far as like learning how to be in front of a camera, learning what your angles are. I
mhm,
know a lot of people ask me, well, how do I pose? I'm like, well, it depends on your body type too. You have to pose for your body type. And
mm,
I learned that because I remember like some years ago, one of my photographers was like, hey, bring a friend with you so I could see how you pose with another person. And so I was trying to direct her on how to pose based off of what I knew at the time. But because she was
mhm,
curvier than me, my poses weren't working for her. Because for me, I might have to jet my hip out, or
mhm.
angle myself in a way to look more curvaceous. But for somebody that is curvaceous, they'd have to, come up with different poses based off of that. I think the best way is to find people that are already actively working that are built like that person to
Okay,
to look at examples for poses, because what I may do may not work for that person just because like of how
absolutely.
you're shaped and stuff like that. So that's also super important. Um, Honestly, just being prepared. You can ask questions as far as like being prepared for something. I feel like if you ask questions and someone gets mad at you, then that's probably not something you should be part of, because they should be willing to answer your questions. Like, what should
Okay.
I bring for this? Should I You know, if you're asking questions and people get mad, that's a problem. If they don't want you to like, that's another thing. I know as far as like bringing people, that's also tough too, because they don't want anybody to be disruptive for whatever you're doing. Obviously, if you're meeting up with somebody
Mhm.
one on one, bring a friend if you can, or bring somebody that's not going to be disruptive in the sense like they're going to be, hey, what are you doing? Like, you know, like interrupting the shoot or whatever.
Yeah,
But if it's something with a full production team, typically you don't need to bring anybody because then they're just going to be in the way. so,
absolutely.
so
Eh,
it's just,
no, go ahead.
oh
You
no,
sound
that's pretty much it. Just be safe.
absolutely. And so one thing you mentioned a little earlier today, was, potentially connecting with people through social media as well. What has social media meant to you when it comes to your
Um,
career?
Wait, what is it? Can you repeat the question?
I said, what does social media mean to you when it comes to your career, developing your brand, establishing yourself?
Well, first of all, social media is so important. I think a lot of people on social media that are trying to get like, because I've okay, so for example, there's quite a few people that are like, "Hey, I want to become a model. I want to connect with people," but they don't, or they aren't willing to show people love either. You have to have a community. I know a lot of people want fans and stuff like that, and they don't think that engaging with people and showing other people love, responding to comments, returning the love that people are giving to you is important.
Mhm.
But it makes a huge difference because I have quite a few people that I've built relationships with on social media, and they've gotten me jobs from like New York or from Texas, and vice versa. I've been able to like send them opportunities and stuff. So it's important to build relationships because there's too many people that are like, oh, well, I don't know them. I don't want to go like their stuff. Well, they're not like you don't know. You really don't know.
Mhm.
I had a Instagram friend that I met from like Kansas, which I didn't even think that we connected through like love of modeling. She told me about a Sports Illustrated event in LA. I didn't even know, and I'm in LA. So like you want to build relationships with people, but not just who you think can do stuff, but like people with similar interests and actually genuinely engage with people because there's so many people like in other places that are constantly sending me things that they see that they think I'd be good for and vice versa. But
Okay.
you do have to build relationships. And also when it comes to like for example content creation, brands look at your relationships with people. So if you don't people aren't engaging with your content, they're gonna be like, oh, that person doesn't really seem to have a good community